With me now is the woman herself, Laura Loomer. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me right after this trip. So how did the trip to Ukraine come about and who funded it?
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on, Batya. It's a pleasure to join you. For the last year and a half or so, I've become increasingly concerned about a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of the isolationist foreign policy views that have been coming out of some of the top podcasters on the right. And as you know, and you've been very critical of this on your own show, these aren't just podcasters or people with opinions that they're shouting into a microphone. Some of these people enjoy access to the White House. Some of them are friends with the vice president. Some of these people had family members working inside the White House as they were pushing anti-American propaganda, isolationist foreign policy, support for Islamic terrorist organizations like Hamas, and have really been on a full-blown crusade to degrade and absolutely destroy our alliances with longstanding allies to the United States of America, particularly Israel. And I became increasingly alarmed over the last year and a half with the behavior of what I like to call the woke Reich. Now, you know, your viewers are probably very familiar with who these people are. People like Tucker Carlson, as I call him, people like Candace Owens and Alex Jones. I mean, look, there's a lot of people who all of a sudden, you know, it seems like their views on President Trump have drastically changed, and they went from being ardent supporters of the president to then all of a sudden pushing out what seems like very radical left talking points as it pertains to, you know, the functioning of our country, both domestically and with relations to, you know, foreign affairs. And so I started to really evaluate the content that I was consuming as a conservative in this media ecosystem, not just as somebody with a podcast myself, but also as somebody who, you know, considers myself to be a political operative, in addition to, you know, breaking a lot of stories as an independent journalist, Batya. And I realized, wow, if all of these conservative commentators have been wrong about, you know, Jeffrey Epstein lying, saying that Donald Trump is a pedophile, that he's covering up for Jeffrey Epstein, if they've been wrong about Israel and, you know, pushing out all of their anti-Jewish, and I call it anti-Jewish because it's far transcended just simple criticism or disagreements with Israeli foreign policy, right? This is just pure Jew hatred at this point. If they're now supporting Islamic terrorist organizations and cheering for Iran over the United States as they're murdering U.S. soldiers, what else are these people wrong about? And I realized that, you know, out of the top 5 topics that a lot of these people talk about, the Russia-Ukraine war tops that top 5 list. And I started thinking to myself, wow, it's not a coincidence that RT and Al Jazeera and you look at a lot of these foreign state media entities that exist to prop up these authoritarian regimes in Russia and Qatar have become full-time Clipper accounts for the woke Reich. And then it made me realize I'm not going to have a proper understanding about what's really happening on the ground in Ukraine and who's right and who's wrong amid this, you know, echo chamber of propaganda, specifically Russian propaganda, unless I travel to Ukraine myself. And so I paid for my travel, and the security was supplemented by some private American donors, and it was not paid for by the government of Ukraine. It was not facilitated by the United States State Department or the Trump administration, despite wild conspiracy theories online. It was not funded by any Ukrainian nationals or the Ukrainian government. But I'm back, and I was out of the country for 11 days, and it was truly a life-changing trip for me. I really have come to understand that everything that I was led to believe while living in this media echo chamber, really an echo chamber, very toxic echo chamber that is supported by foreign governments. I mean, we can't deny the influence of Russian propaganda in the GOP and the amount of brainwashing that is taking place on these social media platforms because American social media companies refuse to comply with sanctions law, and they refuse to limit the tweets and the correspondences and the broadcasting of these entities that have been sanctioned.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.